The important people are here. And we'll get started. In one shake of the leg. One shake of the leg. One shake of the tail. Okay. How you doing? Yeah? You doing all right? Okay. Interesting. Oh, there you go. All right. Now we're here. And good. Your photo looks perfect for the land down under. This or the... Yeah. I turned it upside down because you just see the chalice from a different direction. Yes. I had my other one that's just sitting here, but didn't. I had this one here. It's not finished. None of them are finished. What is finished? What is complete? All right, so we're recording. Yes. All right, let me just get all of this out of the way. Don't need any of this. And we'll get started. All right, so who got a bunch of emails today? You shouldn't have got so many today, right? How many? Yeah. So one for tomorrow, right? RElevate. One for the once in a blue moon. What was the other one for? Something. Oh, maybe this. I'm not sure. I'll have to go back and have a look. Anyway, I don't often send a lot of emails, so one day you'll miss them. When I send them, and when I don't, I don't. All right, so tomorrow, I'll love you tomorrow. Friday or Saturday for Australia. Some of you would have got an email. If you're not on that particular list, then maybe message me if you want to get access. So we're doing, it's the last complementary group for RElevate, which we will be going into. That's why I called this live, the Illuminate Injury, Transform Trauma, the IITT method. It's here, the IITT method. All right. It's a long running joke with some of my friends in Australia, which I'll tell you about it another time, or maybe later on after we get off the live. But it's to do with IT, and so it's relevant that in RElevate, Regulate to Elevate, we have a process that some of you have done little bits of, accessed, but it is what it sounds like. Illuminate injury, so relational injury is attachment or early childhood, early life injury, emotional injury, psychological injury, you know, what you received or didn't receive, what wants and needs were received or not, and how you laid that down, how that impacted you, right? Relational injury has to do with other people. Trauma is slightly different, right? Trauma, not everybody has big T trauma. Majority of humans have relational injury or some sort of attachment issue. Now, whether that came from early childhood or from relationships later on in life, because, you know, we can be impacted at any point in our lives, right? So that's what this process is about. So tomorrow, I've opened the door, not to everybody, right? But if you're, oh, well, look who shows up, Miss Nicole. Hey, where have you been? Yeah, like Rebel's going, oh, we've missed you, so we won't give you too much flack, right? Because she's sending hearts and sparkles. But all right, so maybe Nicole can come tomorrow. All right, so I think she actually worked. You may be sleeping. Anyway, you would have got an email. So tomorrow is the last day in August that RElevate is open. So we had last fortnight, Friday, that you could come in and just see what we do. And tomorrow is the last before we close shop. I'll send it to you, Nicole. But check your your email's always a bit dodgy, isn't it? Just saying. Often it comes up a little red and it won't send, right? So they get blocked or they bounce. So a lot of you do that. So if you don't get emails from me and I'm saying I'm sending emails, you're one that gets bounced. And if it bounces more than 3 times, you get kicked off the list. It's not up to me. It's just the program. So a lot of you get kicked off unbeknownst to me. So regardless, so Nicole, at what time is it? 2:30 Hawaiian time. So what's that? 5:30 Pacific, and what's that? 8:30 Eastern. 8:30 Eastern, something like that. And for Perth, I believe it's like 8:30 a.m. Saturday. So 5:30 Pacific. Yes. All right, so let's get on with it. You're welcome to come and see what we do there. Dipping your toe into these processes, right? So what are they? I'm gonna do a little bit of a spiel on what we do there, but also so you know what's possible for you, what is out there. It got really dark all of a sudden. Let me know if I go all dark. I think you can still see me okay. Apparently we had like earthquakes and all sorts last night. The pictures were all moved this morning, but I slept right through it. So I'm like, well, I woke up alive, so I'm good. All right. I woke up alive. You know that saying, people say, I woke up alive. I'm like, well, yeah, of course you did. If you didn't, you'd be dead. Okay. So regulate to elevate. So RElevate is a process, and we're going through another round. So those of you that were in it and want to stay in it, let me know. And anybody who's new, the link, I'll put out the link because we'll be starting again in September. And this is where the deeper work starts to happen. All right. So we integrate processes. We're looking at addressing the unconscious, right? I'm not really fond of the word block, but I'm just going to say, right, most of you understand what blocks are. But what's really happening isn't necessarily a block, but you're going to think it's a block. So let's call it a block, right? So the things that are deeply rooted, right? We talked about trauma, we've talked about attachment issues. How to be compassionate towards your self-discovery, towards your personal growth. So we're integrating, and this is the difficulty in the past for me, is because a lot of, you know, the places that I worked to do trauma, complex trauma work, they would only allow evidence-based practices, right? So we have evidence-based practice. That's what's part of this. And we also have therapeutic techniques, but we also have intuitive energy medicine practices, like how we can navigate our systems on all levels. So I will take you through processes. I will take you through what, Rebel? I will take you through the IITT method. We're going to have so much fun with this. Right, MA? Have you got it? I told you. I'm loving it. All right. So illuminate injury, transform trauma. It. Okay. How do you make it in the world? So we will start going through it. This method that is really quite simple, in my opinion, but really so simple, quick. You can touch into things fairly quickly. To go very deep, obviously, it's ongoing, right? You cannot change habits, whether they're energetic or, you know, how your brain's wired, because that's trauma, right? Early childhood trauma changes brain development. In Australia, I was one of the first to start teaching about the impacts of trauma on brain development. It was probably 20 years ago now. And I still don't feel that it's very well known, right? And how, you know, mild brain injury. So what even is that? These are the invisible injuries, right? I used to say, you know, obviously it's my humor, but it's also serious that sometimes you got to put a Band-Aid on your head just to remind people that, you know, you're recovering from something, whether it's a physical head injury, you know, you've been in a car accident, you fell off the roof or off your boat, or you were kicked in the head by accident or not. The amount of head injuries, so, you know, my grandfather would make a joke about this, and maybe you will too. I'm going to. I have been hit in the head so many times in my life, right? I played a lot of full contact sports, hockey. The amount of black eyes and headbutts I've had playing, you know, hockey and touch football and being in the military and rappelling and rock climbing and riding wild horses. Oh yeah, I did that from like probably 7, 8 years old. Right? We'd have games of who could stay on the longest. You know, we'd ride cows and go into the gymkhanas and rodeos and stuff as little kids, like wild. We were just wild. It wasn't any formal thing. It was like, oh, do you reckon you could catch that horse and get on it? Oh yeah, I'll give it a go. I was the youngest, by the way. So, you know, lots of injuries here. Probably why I see the world the way I do. We could call it brain damage, or we could call it, you know, smack the life into me or out of me, however you want to look at it. Point is that, you know, I went on to work in, you know, hospitals, the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in particular, very early in my career, and was thrown into the neurological ward where, you know, I ended up teaching about retrograde amnesia to the nurses and the doctors. Because when you train, you don't train in all the trauma stuff. unless you specialize. So back then, unless you specialize, and it's even, I believe it's even worse now, that unless you specialize, you don't, you get the little bits. So I would teach about retrograde amnesia. Why? So if we're in a hospital where people are coming in, young people have smacked their head, you know, having brain surgery and whatnot, right? And how you come out of coma even. Does anybody, you know, has anybody had experience? I'm sure a lot of people have, but how people come out of coma. And there are different ways, but it can be really distressing for family members and loved ones, because it's not like in the movies a lot of the time, right? Have you ever had experience of that? They don't wake up and go, oh, the brain can come back on from the reptilian, from the old brain to the new, meaning the animalistic grunts and noises and behaviors and, you know, come in first. The old memories come in first, and the newer ones, obviously, so retrograde. The old memories, they have memory of older things, but they may not know you if they've just met you, right? Or the current memories, recent memories, all of this sort of stuff. Why am I telling you this? This is a different type of trauma, right? But if you've had mild injury, trauma, in my opinion, is a mild injury, and you can recover from relational complex trauma. It takes time. It doesn't take, well, some people it could take years and years, but what I've seen, you know, over many years, that people can shift, people can repattern their brain, but they can also shift and repattern their habitual habits in their energetics. It's a very similar process because I work with both. And because I had information on one, I could see how it was working in the other. Does that make sense? Because, you know, I'm a cross-referencer. I'm always looking at, oh, how's it work here then? If it works like this here, what about here and here and here? I spent a lot of time, right, working with families of people who have had traumatic injury, and helping them understand that even though they look the same, these are some of the things you may experience, because the percentage of relationship and family breakdown was so huge because people are different. Now, what is the one of the more subtle things, but one of the I guess priority things that I would say to people is behavioral regulation. How you regulate your emotions is often impacted. So people will be more emotional along the spectrum. So they'll be more loving and like, and maybe even cry. And it might be, you know, a guy who's never been emotional, but he's come off his motorbike or whatever, fell off a building or off his boat, whatever has happened, right? And now he has to work on the emotional regulation a little more than in the past. So what he used to be able to handle or, you know, regulate no longer regulates the same, meaning that it impacts and triggers very quickly. Okay, so there's that end, and then there's the other end where it's like from 0 to 100 in anger and rage. So think about that. If your loved one comes home after all of that trauma and whatnot, and they're swinging in their emotions, if we haven't done our own work, we're going to be triggered all over the place. And, you know, and the rest of the family is too. The person is I guess, different or challenged in how they can keep the balance, homeostasis of the emotions, right? So why am I bringing that in here? You may have some of that going on. You may know someone. It might be yourself. You may have had a head injury in the past and you are struggling with emotional regulation. You're triggered really easy, right? It may be none of that. But it gives you an idea that there are invisible injury. And just because you can't see it, right, maybe it's for your partner or your son or your daughter, or, you know, just because we can't see it doesn't mean, you know, they're making it up, or, you know, they can really pull themselves together. Behave yourself, or whatever you might say, right? So think about that. With little ones, you know, I just worked with a little one distantly. I won't go into it because, you know, but an infant, a friend of mine from many, many years ago, I used to work with her, and she contacted me and said, you know, our little one has got potentially some stuff going on. It's such a pleasure, like, tapping into energies like that, you know, and just navigating what's going on to strengthen and support, right, her little system. So depending on the age, you know, because really, really, really young, like newborn, just a few months, you gotta be gentle there, even more gentle because of the connection to the mother. So, you know, we can often work with the mother because the energy is, even though the physical umbilical cord is separated, the energetic connection is still very much there. And I saw that over and over and over. Like, you may have heard me talk about when I worked with the children who had been removed from families because of abuse, trauma, whatever. And I'd be working with the children, but I'd also be working with the mother in particular, sometimes the fathers, always the mother, because my way of thinking was, if it is at all possible to reunify, bring those families back together, then we must work at that, because the best place for children is with family, right? It is, even if it's not the best family in the world, because the trauma that is, I was going to say produced, but what the child, doesn't matter what age, when you're taken away from family, even if that family isn't so great, it impacts you energetically and physiologically, right? So yes, there has to be calls made when children are at risk. Children can die, you know, at the hand of their own family. I don't want to be morbid about this. I'm just being real, right? And, you know, there are times when we can support the families because they're the traumatized children that have grown into adults. So, you know, we'll lighten it up now because I've been a bit like, oh. But this is all, I mean, is it interesting? I don't know if it's interesting to you. You may know somebody, like, if you do, you know, your own children, you may work, you know, Nicole works with infants, right? If they've had a difficult birth, if the mother or the primary carer is ill after the birth, if there's a separation, there's an impact to the little one's brain. So it doesn't have to be, when we say, it doesn't have to be abuse, is what I'm getting at. it may be due to illness, the child's or the parents, and there's a separation, right? And how that impacts. Now, you know, if you're aware of it, you can navigate that and support that development, right? And you know, support on multiple levels. All right. So for you, why is that important for you? Maybe the big T trauma is not, right? Maybe it's the relational injury where, you know, you're struggling with unresolved emotional pain, right? And that could be from a past relationship. It doesn't necessarily have to be early childhood, although it can, right? But relationships can impact you all the way along. And depending how your early childhood was, can determine how you are in relationships. So, you know, if your relationships aren't as great as you want them, you're not experiencing a full potential, or, you know, you're in a relationship but it's like you're dissatisfied but you don't know what else to do, like, is this as good as it gets type thing, right? That can be part of the programming, part of the adaptive strategy, part of the fears that you're holding. And so you can identify those, right? You can. And that's what we do in RElevate, and we will be doing that. And it's a little bit at a time. So tomorrow you're dipping your toe in, and we're just going to get a little indication of how the program rolls out. But from September onwards, it'll be closed again. And so you can come and have a look. But what else? Feeling stuck. I actually get a lot of calls about fear of failure. That's pretty common. Fear of failure. So what fear is that? Right? Is it fear of is it really fear of failing, or is it fear of succeeding? Or is it a bit of both? Is it fear of fear, or is it fear of love? Like, fear of failing is the fear that you won't succeed, and you label it. Do you get where I'm going? So we can navigate that. We can find out. We can find out. And often it's a bit of both, but, you know, there are certain pieces that people will have more charge on. I spoke to a lady the other day, and you know, I had just met her, and you know, I kept taking her into, you know, dropping the piece in, and it was different timelines. They just happened naturally, different timelines. So different scenarios with different people, but the pattern was there. So we didn't drop right down in, but straight up, pretty much within the first 15 minutes, I could see her pattern so clear. And I just said to her, can you see the pattern there? Because every scenario, even though they're completely different people, completely different time, completely different space, was the same incident or experience playing out on that emotional level, right? And so naming it and being able to unpack that a little, and then where that charge is on those, to release it so that it's not held. It's not wasted, because it's doing a job, right? It's bringing you awareness. But because we're unconscious and we just think, oh, that's a pain, or that's an anxiety, or that's a I feel sick, or whatever it is, that charge is a fear of love. And when we bring our awareness to it and are conscious, we can then go through the process. We can go through it, ladies and gentlemen, if there are any gentlemen watching, but we can go through it and reclaim that energy, that power, that voltage to utilize to our goals, or to get up in the morning, or keep you going if you're on night shift, hey Nicole, right? Or, you know, when you're looking after family, children, or your parents or grandparents, or whether you've got a really difficult physical job or mental job, right? My job is very much a lot of it's intellectual, right? It's thinking, right? There is a lot of it that is just being in the energy, which is what I love. But I still have to have time to regenerate. I'm very aware of that. If people are in my field, I've still got the plumber here. You know, I haven't been in those, he's in the ensuite, so I don't know, 3 rooms away. I can still taste the mortar. Like, I taste energy. I can be like, right? So when there's people in my space bringing things into my space that even though I'm not there, I still pick it up, because what's my job? I'm open, right? I go out in the backyard and I'm scanning and, you know, doing distance healing and work and whatnot, right? I'm open. So anything in my field is me. I am it. I'm it. Right? If I was like going, oh no, oh, I can't do, right? That's going to deplete me. If I go, oh, what's that funny taste in my mouth? Oh, okay, must be, you know, I don't even really need to know. I just have to meet it. So tomorrow we're going to talk more about that, about how to do it. You loving it yet, Rebel? You know, I got to have a name that's going to make me chuckle. All right. You like it, Lisa? Do you like it? Well, you're going to do it tomorrow if you can come. All right. So what else do I want to tell you? So get your questions ready, or what's going on for you. So when we turn over to the Holistic Mystic membership part, that we can get into, you know, what's going on for you, what you want to talk about, and that sort of stuff. So what else did I want to share with you today? I guess I should. So those of you that are watching on social media, this is the on demand, so it's free, right? It's just me coming on and telling you bits and pieces and whatnot. Then we shift over to the inner circle, right? And that is a membership. So it's been going for, I don't know, 7 months, 6 months, 7 months. And there are so many videos in that library. So many videos, because when we started, I was doing 4 days a week. Do you remember? Some of you are here then, 4 days a week. You know, to get started, to get us rolling, to get the library going. But we are live twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And it's your inner circle, it's your membership where you can, or I mean, if no one says anything, I will just teach you something. But really, it is for you to ask your questions, to share, to have a discussion. It's, you know, it's the inner circle. Like, what's going on? What are you finding interesting? What are you seeing in the world? How is that impacting you? Right? So for that, in September, we are going into some more structured teachings, right? Around magnet sensitivity, your earthing. If you have sensitivity, so I've just told you, I was born sensitive, right? I'm just a sensitive human. And I'm pretty good. I can turn on and off. But because my job, like what I do through the day, through the week, I'm opening to link into people across the globe, right? And navigate their energies and correct and do alignments and all of that. So when I'm open like that, if there's people in the house doing work and stuff, I have to be okay with that. I have to accept it. So you'll learn about this in RElevate, right? But in the inner circle, so we've got two things going here. If you want to be in the RElevate, which is more the relational injury and trauma and regulation and how your energies are in relation to that, then that's the one for you. It's 2 Fridays a month. Okay, so you can come tomorrow, dip your toe in, see what we do, and then you can decide, or you can just come and hang out and see what we're doing and not join us. That's fine too. But Tuesdays and Thursdays is the what we call Holistic Mystic Mastermind, or the membership, the inner circle. Okay, so that starting September on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so it's 6 classes a month, we start to go into the energetics of sensitivity, what's going on for you, how your charge is working in the world. Is it supporting you? Isn't it supporting you? How you can correct that and do your own first aid. I can support you to a degree in a small group. Obviously, if you need more, then you have one-to-ones with me, right? So these are the 2 things that are available, and I'm telling you about it now because it's coming up. And there you go. So if you're in Holistic Mystic, which is coming, in a few minutes, we'll change over to that Zoom link. You'll have access to all the videos from, I believe we started in February, February, something like that, right? And they're in month, and are also supporting resources, depending on what we're learning, what we're teaching, and whatnot. But if I talk about certain things, I'll find the resources to put in there too. So you have access to all of that all the time while you're in the membership, right? Same with RElevate. Once you're in, you have access to the portal, which is all the replays and additional resources. So I often put processes and images and if we've got particular handouts and workbooks and whatnot, they go in there too. So that's what you're paying for, okay? But they're both live. If you can't turn up live, there is the replay, but they're all live. All right. Anything else? Where are you today, Nicole? Are you at work? I'm not sure if she's still there. Was she hanging around the pool? You seen her pool? She moved house. It's awesome. One of her goals. Me? Unreasonable dream. It's not unreasonable anymore, I'm telling you. You think it's unreasonable? Who was telling me about the unreasonable dream? Was it Lisa? Who was telling me recently about someone was on one of these calls? Not yet. I leave in an hour or so. Okay. Anyway, reminding of a teaching around unreasonable dreams. And, you know, it's a slightly different way of manifesting. But man, I've done it most of my life, well, as an adult. And that's how I've been all over the world on the smell of an oily rag, right? You know, you just go somewhere, you go, like, if you can't do it, don't do it, because it's irresponsible. You'll end up homeless somewhere. Like, I'm just putting a caveat there, right? But when you know, you're laughing, but you know it's true, right? But when you know, and that's how your life was working, right? And you know you'll be supported, then you go and you know. And I work slightly differently now because I want to experience something different. So how I'm working is a little different. So we'll talk about that as we go along if you want to. But all right, so any other, let me just check if there's any other comments in the, I haven't been watching the restream chat, but I'll have a look now. I'm not sure if there's anything on there, but and then we'll, nope. So if you're wanting to come, most of you that are regulars, you're on the email list, you would have got their email, and there's the Zoom link, and you just pop onto that. The Blue Moon one, yeah. They'll stop soon. I'm just reading you probably, yeah, you probably sent these in the chat ages ago, and I'm just reading them now, right? Oh, Deb's yelling at me in capital letters, but that's all right. I'm sure she's not really, she just yeah. Yeah, I will sort that out for you. Yeah. I'll sort that out for you. I'll send you a message, Rebel, about that, and we'll sort it out. I kept you in there so that you'd be at the same price, but I will sort that out so you start in September with everyone. If you want to, you'll have to let me know. Otherwise, I'll cancel it. So yeah, I'll double check with you. Because if I cancel it and you come back on, you'll be on another. Yeah. And I didn't want that to happen. So that's what's going on there. I saw that too. So, all righty. So we've got Holistic Mystic membership, our inner circle, which you can come and be with us from September. We'll be more structured. I'll be starting to tell you what we're going to learn. It's going to be like a workshop more than me just a talking head, right? And so that we can see what's going on for you as well and navigate that like in real time. Okay. So I can give you replays and whatnot. Yeah, great. But is it going to help you understand your energy? I mean, if you can test your own energy, great. Right. That's for the inner circle, but also the Q&A. Like you can ask me questions. We can go where you need to go with in regards to, you know, as much as possible staying on these particular tracks. In RElevate, same thing, but it will be more in relation to what's happening with you in real time. Like we go through a process in a small group and you can feed back and say that this is what happened to me, or this is how that felt. We can do what I call hot seats, and we haven't done too many of those because we've been doing more groups. But if people feel they want to step out and be that in that hot seat, right, then we can do some of those. It's up to you. So it's more like group working together on your specific stuff, and I'm guiding you through these processes. Okay. And again, if you want something more, something that goes deeper and is working and over time, then you would do the one-to-ones, right? That's the top of the tier type work. Okay. So that's what we're doing. So if you're interested in any of that, send me a message or answer the emails, and you can join us. So we're going to go over to our mastermind now because time's ticking away as usual. And Nicole has to go to work. So all right, so have a great time. So everybody say she can't see you, but everybody say goodbye to Nicole. Have you got FOMO, Nicole? Because they're all on Zoom and we're going to keep going. They're sending you hearts. Everyone else is waving. Emma's waving. Nicole, right. She said she loves you all. All right, so we'll say ciao for now, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow afternoon, and we can start going into the IITT. Oh, did you hear that?